healing the will. So the last thing that I think I want to talk about tonight before I turn this over to Betsy is I want to explore with you a couple of pathways that are important to helping you heal your self-worth and helping you create a different sense of value in your life. So there's a code in these gates. Not only are the codes for resting in these gates, there's also a code for healing the will in these gates. So the first code comes from the gate 21. The gate 21 is the gate of self-regulation, or gives us the theme of self-management. One of the ways in which you can begin to heal your self-worth is to learn to be self-generous. That means you have to consciously construct a self-generous inner and outer environment, meaning you have to start taking the actions necessary to make sure that your environment is self-generous. That might mean doing something as simple as buying flowers for yourself, or making sure you create an environment for yourself that's beautiful, that sustains your soul and makes you feel really nurtured and loved. It also means you have to have an internal environment that's self-generous. And oftentimes that means you have to regulate how you talk to yourself and how you nurture yourself internally as well. Your story, your self-talk and your story are an important part of regulating your internal and external environment so that you're self-generous in every way. The gate 40 connects us to higher will, meaning when we really live out the theme of the gate 40 and we recognize that we are an integral part of something bigger than who we are. And that this 40 energy, by the way, is part of community energy. It connects to the 37, that channel there, that whole channel there is a channel that brings very important community energy to the world. You can't serve your community if you don't take care of yourself first. And you can't serve your community if you're not making healthy agreements or making agreements that are sustainable. So this 40 says, okay, I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to nurture myself. I'm going to recover, because remember, recovery is here too. And then I'm going to value myself enough to make sure that every agreement that I enter into, every relationship that I enter into, is a reflection of my value. And if the relationship doesn't reflect my value back to me, I will not sustain the will necessary to sustain the relationship. I will walk away. I will say, no, I'm not going to be a part of this. So you have to, as part of healing the will, make sure that you're not making unsustainable agreements with people who don't see your value. And that sometimes means just slowing down a little bit and really making sure the people you're creating relationships with are walking their talk. Authenticity is the next gate in the will center. And certainly anything we do to strengthen integrity, anything we do to reclaim who we are, is essential for healing the self-worth. So again, this is where you want to make sure you're doing, getting the support to do the inner growth, the healing, the aligning, the making sure that the story you tell about who you are is the true story of who you are, and not a smaller story or a frightened story or a story that is rationalizing or settling for less than what you deserve. And last but not least, this gate 51 initiation brings us the theme of humility. And I want to talk about humility for half a second, because we think of humility as being self-effacing. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. You are worthy. And when we deny our value, we are being in our ego. Who are you to not be in your value? Who are you to deny your value when you were born to assume a unique and vital place in the cosmic plan? The heart of what we can do to heal the will is to build a relationship with Source, to engage in practices that help us remember that we are once in a lifetime cosmic events. We are integral parts of a cosmic whole. And those parts that we play, each and every one of us, are essential to the integral high functioning of the whole. You're here for a reason. You're here because you have a purpose to serve. And when we lose connection with that purpose, we lose our value. We lose our memory of the true story of who we are. And so this 51 energy says, Connect with Source. Get on your knees. Become humble. Let yourself connect with Source so that Source can help you remember your true value. So, some questions to contemplate when we think about the will. I want you to take a moment and think about your life and everything that you're doing right now, and everything that you feel driven to do right now, and everything that you feel like you have to accomplish in your life. Are you driven to do this because you want to do it, because it brings you joy, because it connects you to play and restoration and your true identity and your right place in the cosmic plan? Or are you doing it because you're trying to prove yourself and your value? I think that's an important question to explore, and certainly not one I would expect you to answer tonight in one half a second. But I really would love for you to take that question home and contemplate it. This is the theme of the will center. This is what needs to happen oftentimes for us to heal the will and to decondition the will. We have to look at what's driving us and get honest about doing the things that we do because we think we should, because if we do those things, it'll fulfill the societal expectations of our value. And usually that means it'll translate in some way to something that has numbers associated with it. The number of years of education that you have, the size of your pants, the number of zeros in your bank account, the number of whatever, anything we measure in numbers usually is some metric that we've tried to use to prove our value. Let go of the numbers and define yourself as precious, inherently precious and valuable, simply because you exist.